Hey everyone, thanks for clicking on my channel here. Uh, if you are a subscriber, I do videos on about anything I just, comes to mind that I feel like talking about. I'll do random short videos, meme videos, whatever I feel like doing. I don't feel like talking about the same thing every day. But in this situation involving Tamir Rice, a 12-year-old kid that was shot by a police officer, 26-year-old Timothy Lohman. I think it's something that has to be addressed, especially after the Michael Brown situation and the Trayvon Martin. And I've watched the video of this 12-year-old being shot, and it doesn't start off showing right away the cops pulling up and getting out of their car and shooting this kid. It starts off with the kid being in the street. He's constantly taking the gun, pointing it at things, which I can only assume are other people, because that's what there's also on YouTube you can find videos of the actual radio dispatch where they're talking about, a black male is pulling a gun out of his pants constantly and pointing it at people. So one thing we have to keep in mind is, the cops are coming into this situation knowing that there's a young black male pulling a gun out. Uh, there's also reports that whoever called this in also stated to the dispatcher that the gun is possibly fake or looks fake, but this information was never relayed to the police officers that uh, went to check out this situation. So, with that in mind, I want to put that thought on pause, and I'm going to go back to this situation here, like with the Michael Brown and the Trayvon Martin. Now, when I studied those cases, and the testimonials and everything, it's I kind of favored in the police officers' actions, and I favored George Zimmerman's actions, because of the testimonial and the forensic evidence and such like that. Um, in this situation, I feel bad for this 12-year-old kid. I think with better parenting, this situation probably never would have happened. And one of the reasons, I'm gonna state I'm not gonna put 100% fault on this police officer that shot this kid. I'm gonna put a lot of fault on him, but I think also some fault and blame should be also placed on the parents as well. First off, you can't even buy a BB gun unless you're over the age of 18 years old. Second, it's even suggested um, on BB gun packages that it's for the ages of 10 and up with adult supervision. So you got to have a little situational awareness. If you're going to be an adult, that's a big responsibility. You're going to be taking care of a kid that doesn't think of everything. They don't think of all the worst case scenarios. They don't think of the consequences to their actions. Some kids are above and beyond, they can think beyond that, but there's a lot of kids that can't think that far ahead. Um, Now, when you're living in a world, today, which is a lot different than 20 years ago. When I was 12 years old, I remember playing outside by myself. You know, I had, I never had a BB gun. My mom would never let me have that. But I would play cowboys and Indians and stuff. I would use sticks or whatever, like with my brother and that. And we'd be out playing, and we never had the cops called on us and stuff like that. But at the same time, we were raised, we didn't point our fingers and act like we were holding guns and stuff like that at people either. So in this situation, I watched the video of the cops pulling up, but also that video shows what was happening before the cops even came. And this shows this kid, you know, who's basically acting, You know, the way he was putting the gun in his pants and drawing it out and pointing it and stuff like that, he was acting like a gangster. You know, he wasn't playing cowboys and Indians, he was playing gangsters. He was playing gangster, you know? And they have a radio dispatch that you can listen to on YouTube. I'll post the link below too. You know, they had reports of this kid pulling this gun out of his pants, you know, and it looks like a real gun. I'll post a picture on it, you know, below. Um, and pulling his gun out and pointing it at other people and stuff. And you know, you just don't do that kind of stuff. I think that's why on the packages of the BB guns they say you need adult supervision. You know, and it's this situational awareness you got to have as a parent. Like, okay, we live in a world where kids almost daily, I'm going to say just to be conservative, once a week get shot by police officers or people that carry concealed weapons, you know, at least once a week. You know, these kids are carrying these BB guns and these guns that look like real guns and they're getting shot. So you as a parent got to think to yourself, oh, you think it would be a good idea to let my kid play with a BB gun that looks like a real gun out in the middle of the street, you know, without adult supervision? So that's one of the reasons I have to say I can't put 100% blame on this officer, but I am putting a majority of the blame on this officer. And I think in other aspects, you have to look at it from the officer side as well. You know, these officers are trained and briefed on crimes that are trending and drugs and all this other type of stuff, you know, that's going on across the country. And so they have that in the back of their heads too. You know, I know when we all think of children, we think of young, innocent children, you know, that can't harm a butterfly, but we know that's not the case. You know, we've all heard the stories of other 12-year-old kids killing people and stuff like that. Um, I mean, if you go through Google, you can find stories, plethoras, thousands of stories of young kids killing and murdering other young kids and even adults as well. Let me read a few off to you here. These are just the titles of articles I found on the internet. You know, I didn't even do that much searching. You know, boy 12 stabbed baby brother to death. That's that's one article. Cassidy Goodson, 14-year-old, murders her newborn baby. She actually cut the baby out with scissors and choked it to death. That's a 14-year-old. Cops, boy 10 kills woman, 90-year-old woman for yelling at him. That's a 10-year-old boy. Uh, BC teens swarm and kill Rena Verk, 14. UK boy beats toddler James Bulger to death. Florida boy kills 6-year-old girl. 3-year-old finds gun and kills mother with a headshot nonetheless. 4-year-old accidentally shoots father in Prescott Valley. 16-year-old rich kid uh, drives drunk, kills 4 people, seriously injures 11 others. Teen accidentally shoots and kills 15-year-old. Uh, this is a 2-year-old, killed his 11-year-old sister with a gun. 14-year-old charged with killing 11-year-old sister because he didn't feel appreciated. Teen suspect charged as adult and hammer beating, killing a 32-year-old man with a hammer. This was a 15-year-old kid. 12-year-old arrested in horrible spontaneous killing of homeless Jacksonville man. Shot him execution style. 12-year-old arrested in horrible. That was the same one. So you know that's just Idaho teen killed confesses to grisly murders of dad and brother. Teenager killed newborn baby and burned body in stove. Minneapolis dad shot after confronting son's bullies. Shot by a 16-year-old kid. So, I think you're getting my drift here. You know, there's a lot of violence going on in the world. just in this country alone. And the cops are aware of this. They are aware of these stories. If I was a police officer, I'm even if I wasn't briefed every day, I'd probably be home on the internet checking out other crimes that are going on across the country and stuff. So all this, is in the back of your head when you're dealing with other people and that. And I'm sure even us, as kids, we all knew that strange kid, that liked to play with knives and bullwhips, and just do weird stuff. So all that stuff is in the back of your mind. So now the reason I'm putting a majority of the fault on this police officer is if I'm a police officer, I'm not, but I'm just saying, I'm using my common sense here. If I'm a police officer and I get a radio dispatch about somebody pulling a gun out of their pants and just randomly pointing it at multiple people in a park, why would I pull up to this person? Like, why would I pull up like 10 feet away from this person in a park? As you can see in the video, they don't use the road. They drive right into the park, right up to this person. Why would you put yourself in jeopardy like that? That makes absolutely no sense. There's no reason why, there's no logical reason why you would do that unless you had suicidal tendencies. I mean, okay, that's like pulling up to a it's like knowing there's a bomb in the park in the trash can and you pull up your police cruiser right to the trash can to investigate it. You don't fucking do that shit. So I think there's something wrong there with the protocols that they had there. And I think in this situation, if this officer's not indicted and charged with murder, I think there's going to be issues, across the country. There's going to be a lot of protesting and stuff like that. Um, the Garner situation, I did watch the video on that as well. Even in that situation, if the guy would have just shut his mouth, turned around, and put his hands behind his back, there would have been no problem. He's in the video basically stating, you guys are always bugging me, you're always harassing me, you're always blah this and blah that, but they don't, the media is not putting in your face, all the prior arrests that this guy's had and all the trouble he's had with the law, you know, and if you research it, you'll see for yourself. Um, but that would be like me, like, because I speed all the time, and the cop pulls me over, and me start going into a rant about why are you always pulling me over, you're always harassing me, just leave me alone, leave me alone, never mind the fact that I'm speeding all the time and going through stop signs and stuff all the time. Maybe that's the reason the cops are pulling me over. So even in the Garner situation, I'm going to have to give it to the police officers there. But in this situation, this shouldn't happen. This cop needs to be arrested. And I'm not familiar with the charges, the degrees of murder. You know, like first, second, and third degree, and all that stuff. I don't even know which ones are worse or whatever. I haven't researched that. But this officer should be charged, and he should serve time for jail. And in addition, he should never ever be allowed to be a police officer again. So in this, I'm going to rule in favor of the child, but I also hold the parents accountable as well. I mean, you would have to be totally, basically fucking stupid to let your 12-year-old kid play with a BB gun by himself. A BB gun that looks real in the middle of a street in this world today. With everything that's going on, you lack, as a parent, situational awareness as to what's going on in the world. And there's no excuse for not having situational awareness, not with all the technology we have going on today, TV and social media and all that stuff. There's no excuse. There's no excuse for it. So, I don't know. That's my thoughts on the situation. I'm going to rule in favor of the cop being, prosecuted on this one because That the cops did everything wrong in this situation, but at the same time, I think the parents should be held accountable too. I think they should be charged as well for neglect of their child. But I don't know. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Uh, if you haven't already, please subscribe. And thanks for watching.